One evening, Max and his cousin were just walking in their neighborhood. They were very bored and had nothing to do. Then they came across the house, which was abandoned for years. There were many stories about that house. Some said it was cursed, others said it was haunted. But Max and his cousin were very curious and decided to explore the house. There was a woodshed near the house, and they first started exploring it. They were searching for stuff everywhere but couldn't find anything. After that, they decided to finally enter the house. They were both now standing in front of the house nervously. As Max proceeded to enter the house, his cousin stopped him. He was very hesitant, but Max insisted. They then proceeded towards the door and tried opening it. But the door was completely jammed, so they tried the windows. They were jammed too. Then they tried to enter from the back door and it opened, but only a few inches. Both of them barely got in. They had to squeeze themselves to get in. After getting in, they started searching the whole house. It was completely empty. They started shouting, throwing objects, and having fun. After a while, both of them were tired, and it was completely silent now. And suddenly, they heard a loud thud from the upstairs. They were both shocked. They asked each other, "How is that possible?" Max said, "It must be some animal," and they both shrugged it off and continued. After that, they heard footsteps very clearly. Now both of them panicked and were now sure that someone was surely in the house. Though Max was scared, he was curious. He started going upstairs as he wanted to explore the whole house. His cousin was not ready, but Max forced him. After they went upstairs, Max started entering each and every room, but his cousin was creeped out. He had a weird feeling and told Max that they should leave immediately, but he ignored. After entering every room, there was this one particular door which wouldn't open. Max was banging and kicking the door, but nothing worked. Eventually he gave up and was heading back as it was too late, and it was getting dark outside. As they turned and started walking away, the door automatically opened, very slowly. Both of them turned at the same time and had a confused look on their faces. As Max was about to enter the room, they heard footsteps from that room. Max was now stepping back slowly. As he was stepping back slowly without making a sound, suddenly a human-like figure appeared in front of him. It was almost looking like a shadow. They started rushing downstairs and Max slipped from the stairs and hurt his leg. His cousin helped him get up and they both started running. They were trying to open every possible exit, but it was jammed. As they were trying to open doors and windows, they heard loud footsteps coming downstairs. Having no other option, they hid under the table. As they hid, the footsteps became louder and louder. Both their hearts were racing. They didn't know what to make of it and they just waited. Max was regretting his decision. He realized they shouldn't have come here. After a while, when they didn't see anything, then they slowly came outside and cautiously began searching for the exit. They were looking over their shoulders every other second. They were in the hall, and they wanted to get to the back door so that they can run away. But since the stairs were on the way, they didn't dare go that side. After checking out every possible exit, they came to the conclusion that they were now trapped. After spending hours at the same place, they knew they had to do something or else they were in serious trouble, so they decided to make a move. It was completely dark now. They turned on their phone's flashlight and started finding the way to the back door, even after knowing the consequences. As they proceeded, they were watching their next step very carefully, because they didn't want to make noise. They were slowly walking. Just then, Max stopped suddenly, causing his cousin to push him a bit. He was staring at something and didn't respond to anything his cousin was asking. Then he saw towards the direction Max was staring and he just froze. They could see a pair of legs in front of them. As he moved the light upwards, they saw the ghostly figure was directly staring at them angrily. They panicked and immediately started running. The adrenaline kicked in. They didn't care what was in their way or they were getting hurt. They just ran for their life and hid in a corner. After they hid, they started searching for the figure everywhere, but it was nowhere to be found. Max then looked around him and realized they were a bit closer to the back door, but they couldn't even move out of fear. They couldn't believe what they just saw. And again, as they tried to get closer to the door, all of a sudden different objects were being thrown at them. They were trying to see from where it was being thrown, but they couldn't quite figure it out. They didn't know how to handle the situation, and they started running towards the door. Max's cousin squeezed himself out of the door, but when Max tried to get out, he was stuck. He tried very hard to get out, but nothing worked. Then, they couldn't believe what happened next. As he was trying to get out, and his cousin was pulling him, they suddenly heard a creaking sound from upstairs. They both immediately stopped. Just then, they heard a loud scream and footsteps violently coming downstairs and charging towards Max. Max's cousin started pulling him with all the strength he had, and Max pushed himself out with everything that he had got. He got out, scarring his arm and ears. Both of them fell on the floor, and just as he got out, the door just slammed closed just the next second, as if someone had pushed it with great force. Max and his cousin quickly ran towards their home and decided to never come back.